Hello and welcome back to Anatomy with Alex. My name is Alexandra Ellis from aewellness.com, and Anatomy with Alex is my weekly show where I share anatomy and physiology with you in ways that are applicable and replicable for your everyday life. The more that we understand the body and how it works and how it functions, the better we're going to feel. So super happy for you to tune in today. Today we're talking about proprioception. If you're like, what? This is your body's sense of itself, body awareness. So if you are super clumsy, if you are constantly injuring and re-injuring yourself, better understanding how your body maps itself may be the key to that. Thank you so much for those of you who are tuned in today. Olivia, hello. And Renee, I think you're tuned in live as well. Let's just dive right into it. So proprioception, as I said, is your body's sense of itself in space. And your proprioception is, I don't want to say ruled, but it resides within what's called your peripheral nervous system. So your brain and your spinal cord are your central nervous system. And then everything, once the nerves leave the spinal cord, it becomes the peripheral nervous system. Oh, hi, Richard. Thanks for tuning in today. So the peripheral nervous system branches all throughout your body. So everything from spinal cord out. And proprioceptors and your peripheral, watch me trip over that word a couple times. The proprioceptors and your PNS, how about I just call it that, are found in muscles, tendons, and joints. And the proprioceptors are these special receptor cells that are sensitive to stimuli specific to muscles and joint position. So it really is the proprioceptors that are able to tell you that, for me right now, that my legs are crossed and what my right toe is doing and where my left hand is in comparison to my right hand, and is my right shoulder a little bit elevated or not. All of that information comes from the proprioceptors. So there are 4 specific types that we'll run through today, and understanding, what each of these types are can help you to use that to your advantage to better train with them or have a self-care practice that utilizes that. Why this is super important? I mean, I was just thinking of the shoulder thing. How many of you have a shoulder that's constantly and chronically elevated like this? So at some point, the muscles and tissues here and your brain decide that, oh, this is normal. And then you just walk around all the time like this. And not only are you not aware of it, but this becomes the new set piece. So figuring out how to almost like hack your nervous system, if you will, to help you reset your body and your positioning system can oftentimes help with postural things, but also injury-wise. If you have had an injury, your awareness of the area is affected because of that guarding and muscle bracing that we've spoken about before on previous episodes of Anatomy with Alex. So all of those reasons are why you want to know what these 4 proprioceptors are. Let's get into it. And hi, Tisha. Thanks for tuning in. So the first is called a muscle spindle cell. And the best part about that is, guess where you find it? In the muscle spindle. So remember we talked about muscles, I believe it was last week, which seems like a lifetime ago. But we talked about how muscles work, and I talked and showed you, the breakdown of a muscle all the way to the individual muscle cell. So muscle spindles are there, and their job is really to help prevent overstretching. So when they sense that stretch is happening, they tell the brain, I go, hey brain, we're getting stretched, and the brain goes, okay, hey muscle, contract, and that will tighten up the muscle a little bit. This is why you may have heard that when it comes to stretching, bouncing into a stretch is not always ideal because of that recoil of your nervous system. That recoil comes from the muscle spindles. I'm going to put a little disclaimer on that. When it comes to stretching, it depends what your outcome is, because you also should be doing bouncy stuff too, because your body likes to be elastic and bouncy and springy and all of those things. Okay, parentheses around that. Moving forward. So muscle spindle cells are in the muscle spindles, and they help to prevent overstretching. This is in contrast to your Golgi tendon organs, or GTO for short. Golgi is spelled Golgi. And the Golgi tendon organs, where do you think they are located? It's kind of a trick question. If you guessed tendon, you would be correct. So the Golgi tendon organs are in the tendon, and they also are detecting and responding to changes in not just the muscle tension, but also the force that's happening at the ligament. But they do an opposite action if they're stimulated. So the GTO, the Golgi tendon organ, is sitting in the tendon. And remember, the tendon is where there's no more muscle proteins, but it's all of the fascia continuing on to anchor to the bone. So if the Golgi tendon is starting to feel that tension on, within the tendon, that probably means that the muscle itself is contracted so far that now the tendon is being pulled taut as well. So when the Golgi tendon organ is activated or signaled, it senses that stretch in the tendon. It goes, hey, brain, we got a problem here. And the brain goes, okay, I got it, and tells your muscle to relax. So muscle spindle cells within the muscle tell the brain to tell the muscle to contract. And Golgi tendon organs in the tendon, when they sense that force upon them, they tell the brain to tell the muscle to relax. So this is where we can use, specific types of stretching to really kind of hack, I want to say hack or trick, whatever, your nervous system to give you a temporary improvement in range of motion. This is a type of stretching that I'll get into in just a little bit, but if you've ever done contract and relax stretching, where you stretch a muscle and then contract said muscle while it is being stretched, you are using this relationship between the Golgi tendon organ and the muscle spindles to relax the muscle a little bit more. Pretty cool, right? So the way that works, let's say I'm stretching my hamstrings, for example. It's a really easy one. So laying on your back or even standing, whatever, and you bring the leg up, right? Hamstring stretch, yeah? Okay. So in that regards, the hamstring is on stretch. And if I say consciously to my hamstring, hey, contract, and I do an isometric contraction, so it means I don't have to actually move, but I get the muscle to start contracting while it is being stretched, then the GTO, the Golgi tendon organ, is going to start to feel that stretch within the tendon because the muscle itself is already on stretch, right? That makes sense? So when the GTO is signaled, it goes, oh my gosh, brain, we're going to break this muscle. Relax, relax, relax. The brain sends a signal to tell the muscle itself to relax and let out some of that tone that's always there. And then the end result is you go, oh, cool. My hamstring feels way longer than it did before. Now, disclaimer about contract and relax stretching is that it's temporary relief. So if you can, now put your foot behind your head, it's probably only going to last for a couple minutes. But what you can use is that improved sense of positioning and range of motion to then train and activate and move. If your hips are so super tight you can't get into a certain shape to even train it, that contract and relax style stretching may be a useful tool. So hopefully that made sense about that contract and relax. And I'll get into a little bit more about other styles of stretching that can utilize the proprioceptors to your advantage. As always, if you guys have any questions, you can just drop them down into the comments below and I will answer them as we go along. So the next proprioceptor that I know you're just dying to know about is called Ruffini end organs, or Ruffini endings. I've also seen it written as. So Ruffini end organs detect slow changes in the position of a joint. And they can be activated when the joint itself is in motion or stationary. So think of the elbow, right? If you're going super slow, it's the Ruffini end organs that are sensing it. These guys are also found in the adipose. So that is, the fascia and fat right beneath the skin. I'm grabbing here because it's what you can see. But all over your body, you have this adipose layer, this fat layer of fascia directly beneath the skin, and there too are Ruffini end organs that are responding to this slow change in the position of a joint. So I like to think of these as like the sloth proprioceptors. If you guys have seen, oh man, what was that movie with, it was like the Disney movie that just came out, Zootopia. Well, it didn't just come out, but the sloths. I think of those. So the next type of proprioceptor, we just take a side trip and now we're back. The next type of proprioceptor is called the Pacinian Corpuscles. Try saying that 5 times fast. I actually have practiced it. It's not it's not pretty. It's very messy. I was going to say it's not messy, but it is. So Pacinian corpuscles, they are around the joint again, and they note quick changes in pressure. So fast, fast, fast. If you're all the way at end range and you're trying to go further, they're responding to that and letting your brain know what is going on. The difference between the Ruffini end organs and the Pacinian corpuscles is that the Pacinian corpuscles quiet quickly. So they're stimulated and then they're on to the next thing. Or they're stimulated and then they relax. Whereas the Ruffinis take a slow unwind. Sorry for hitting the mic there. So why this matters, think about Shavasana. So if those of you who don't practice yoga, at the end of every yoga class for 5-10 minutes, you lay there in stillness on your mat. And one of the things that I always encourage is to resist moving, which means, you don't scratch your face, you don't fidget, because every time you fidget, it's just like, a calm body of water. Every fidget is like another, pebble dropped into the lake. And so that ripple effect is felt all throughout the body, and you never give your nervous system really a chance to get quiet and calm. So even in Shavasana, letting yourself just lay there in stillness gives the Ruffini end organs and the Pacinian corpuscles, everybody gets a chance to quiet. Pacinian corpuscles, I told you, just call them PCs or something. They're stimulated by change. So again, Ruffini end organs, slow changes, and Pacinian corpuscles also changes, but more of that fast, quick type of stuff. Now, these are also joints all over your body. So not just, moving joints that you have control of, but also joints in and around your spine. There's joints there, joints in your feet, joints in your ribs. Anywhere where you have joints, you have these type of proprioceptors, and they're constantly giving your brain information about where you are in space. And this can happen because your muscles are constantly on some amount of tension. Muscles don't ever fully relax. If they did, you would just collapse. Well, actually they do. If you faint, your muscles all relax at once and you go crumbling down to the floor. So if we think of muscle spindles or Golgi tendon organs, or even, the joint receptors, they're always getting information about where you are in space because you're never totally off. Even when you're sleeping, you still have tone in your muscles. And so, as your movement pattern changes, as you move, it's going to affect, which of these 4 proprioceptors are activated, but somebody is getting a message. So how this matters in the case of injury is your brain will shut down communication to an area after an injury to help lessen the effect of further injury, right? Your brain goes, you know what, that's we have something going on there. Let's just, rope it off, tape it off, stay away from there so it has an appropriate time to heal without us intervening, which is fine and dandy unless it's your ankle or your knee or your hip. Especially with ankles, if you've sprained your ankle and you step off a curb, that 2-week period after you've have the initial injury, there's 17 more sprains that happen, which only further increase the, compounding injury factors here. Because your brain is I'm not going to talk to my foot and ankle anymore. And that can't happen. We got to keep communication lines open. So you can use the proprioceptors and their different, I almost want to say capabilities in your stretching practice to help highlight and increase body awareness. One of the reasons why I like self-massage so much is that those Ruffini end organs, they're constantly getting stimulation from the massage, because remember they're found in the adipose too, so whatever you're rolling, and it helps to improve your body sense of itself. So it does improve proprioception. You also, just from touch, when anybody touches you, it's almost like you can feel the echo of that touch. Well, the same thing happens when you do self-massage. So if you want to improve your body awareness so you can be a better mover, moving all the ways, but also bringing more movement into your body by way of self-massage is a really good option. So the style of stretching, or I guess we could call it stretching, that helps to really hone in and improve proprioception is called PNF. And that stands for proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation. There's no test on this. I will write it down in the comments below if you're like, oh, my brain just exploded. So PNF stretching is often used in physical therapy. I mentioned one of them already, contract and relax. You've probably done that in a yoga class at some point, and maybe you didn't know that's what you were doing. But PNF stretching, there's about 8 different types, and all of them will help to awaken the proprioceptors in a different way. To improve body awareness, especially around a joint and especially after injury or, a chronic pain situation. So there's different, maybe a static stretch and we do contract relax, or it's a dynamic stretch and there's resistance, or there's even end range and you do a little bit of a tap, like a boop, to kind of get the joint. The boop is from Sarah Court of Quantum Leap. She taught me that. To get a little bit more end range, but remember the Pacinian Corpuscles, they respond to those quick changes. So, just think outside of the box of standard stretching styles and just think, well, if, this nerve ending responds to this type of effect, how could I bring that and incorporate that into my stretching so that I have a full range really of body awareness rather than just, a very narrow focus. So you might be thinking, okay, so I can do different stretching methodologies or ways to improve proprioception. And another way to do it, kind of talked at the beginning about, if you have a muscle that's like hyper contracted and your brain doesn't even know that this shoulder is elevated, working on the tension of that muscle, and then also, balancing out muscle tones. Maybe, and I know this is going to be the case, if you have a shoulder up like this, why is that muscle trying to, work and do the job of somebody else? So, you can think of it as, why is this muscle super facilitated, and somebody else is, just like chilling out? I think of the muscles in your whole body really as a corporation. And so, you have about 206, I believe it is, muscles in the human body. Or is that bones? You have a lot of them, we'll say. Okay, hundreds of muscles in the body. And all of them are like employees at the CEO or at the corporation of you. So if you have one employee that's doing the work of 5 other employees around it, and those 5 other employees are just sitting around scrolling through Instagram, that one employee who's overworked is going to get angry. Same thing happens with the body. So instead of just releasing and letting, that one overworked person take a day off, they're going to come back to work. And if they're still picking up the slack for everybody else, they're going to get angry again. So we not only have to tell that person, like, hey, you don't have to do all the work, but tell the 5 other people, like, get to work. So think of that as you work on your body, especially if you do have some postural imbalance from side to side. Is not only what can you release, but then what can you activate to help balance the muscle tone out of the entire area. Okay, so what's hypercontracted, what's hypocontracted or activated, and how can I bring those two into better synergy? So hopefully that all makes sense. I know I dropped a lot of big words on you today, but body awareness and moving better means that you are able to go out and do all of the things you love to do even better. So today I talked about the 4 types of proprioceptors, how proprioception and body awareness works, and what you can do to improve it. So go out there and get super body aware. I hope you guys are having a great rest of your Wednesday. Next week, I'm taking the week off. It is Thanksgiving here in the United States. So I know Wednesday is a food prep day for many of us. So I'm going to not be food prepping, but I will be mentally food prepping for the meal I will be eating on Thursday with my family. So I will not see you next week. I will see you the week after that, and we will be talking about the different types of muscle and fascia. So getting into the nitty-gritty of all of the components that make you, you. As always, if you have any questions, you can drop them down into the comment box below. If you have any ideas, topic ideas that have been swirling around in your head for questions you want me to tackle on a future episode of Anatomy with Alex, drop those down into the comment box below. And I will be putting a blog together for this, so make sure you hop on my email list, and then you can see all of these words in writing. Hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your Wednesday. Keep it nerdy. Keep doing your self-care, especially through the holidays. And I will see you guys in a couple of weeks. All right? Take care, and I'll see you next time.